The outboard turned over and misfired, a large cloud of white smoke blowing over the two men. He inspected the gasoline line, and as he worked he swore. Sammy was a gaunt man, his voice hoarse from cigarettes. "There," he said. The engine roared spray out from the stern. Sammy added, over the noise of the engine, "I left a message for your ex-wife, too." "Try Will Allingham," said Hank, not shaking as much, more in control of himself. "They're all up at her annual Easter party." "I guess I don't understand about that anymore," said Hank. "Wish your father was still alive," yelled Sammy. "We'll sure miss him and the crew today." Hank nodded. All the firemen remembered his father. He had been the one they depended on in emergencies. Sammy had taken over the department after Hank's father died. The engine cavitated, losing its grip, then screamed with high-speed revolutions. Its propeller caught in the weed and then released, the burned oil smell of the exhaust drifting by. The rain eased to a weak drizzle as they headed out. "Dig him out is all I know," said Sammy. "The kid said your boy mentioned some air blowing into his face just before the cave fell in. He might have crawled back into a muskrat den with air vents back under the ground." "Maybe," said Hank. "Don't know," answered Sammy, steering into another large swell. It was black night. As they went out from the dock, Hank saw Sammy's mouth swearing. But the squall worked up, with some harder rain in patches, and the words were blasted into the wind. Sammy moved his free arm toward a larger, distant island, a far row of trees, which were little more than shadows. The wind quieted for a moment, and Hank could hear him. "Soft," said Sammy. "Soft," repeated Hank, as if he didn't believe all this was happening. "Bad this spring," said Sammy. "Might get Mudman to help," said Hank, speaking of his closest friend, Henry Parks, a man who had been through high school, then Vietnam with him. Mudman had taken over his family well drilling business and was an expert on working in wet soil. "Can't depend on him." Sammy shook his head, fighting the tiller against the current. He was referring to the fact that Mudman was usually drunk. The bow of the boat lifted and smashed down on another swell. "Bobby was just at the store a little while ago," said Hank. Sammy answered, "You don't expect kids to watch the weather." The lights of the rescue party grew brighter as they approached.